Alimony and spousal support. In California, alimony is called spousal support. Alimony is a term that was imported from the East Coast, but in California we are a function of the Spanish tradition. Spousal support is a gender-neutral term. What does that mean? That means if you're a spouse, you can receive spousal support. Spouse means either a male or a female. Spousal support in California is divided into two distinct areas of spousal support. One is temporary spousal support, and the second area is permanent spousal support. When a dissolution proceeding, otherwise known as a divorce colloquially, is initiated, a person can ask for temporary spousal support. That ask can come from a male or a female. Spousal support is generally ordered if there is a great disparity between the two spouses' income. If one spouse is working and the other spouse is not, generally spousal support will be ordered from the higher earner to the lower earner. If both people are working, the court will determine on a temporary basis how much spousal support will be ordered. Spousal support in most counties is determined by using an algebraic equation, which is referred to as a temporary spousal support order. Spousal support is a regulated area in California, which is regulated by statute. In California, temporary support is intended to maintain the status quo. That means that the temporary support order is frequently higher than the permanent support order. All support orders are based upon a determination of what each party's income is and what their legitimate and reasonable expenses are. In order to determine that, the court will require you to fill out court-ordered forms to set forth all of your income. In California, each spouse has a fiduciary duty to fully disclose all their income. It does not matter whether that income comes from a pre-marriage source or a source that was acquired during the marriage. The court will look at that, examine each party's reasonable needs, and utilize an algebraic formula to come up with a temporary order. People are concerned when they request for a gross income request. The court calculation, however, using programs, calculates the reasonable taxes that are to be deducted from your net gross income to come up with your net income for each party to determine what the appropriate temporary support order is. Therefore, you have to provide your pay stubs and all sources of income. You will be required to provide your tax returns in order for the court to make that determination. In certain circumstances, the court may impose an earning capacity order. So if you have recently terminated your employment or have been laid off, the court may give you an appropriate period of time to be re-employed. But if you've been out of the workforce for a while, the court will give you a reasonable time to resume work and impose what's an earning capacity order. That means the court will determine what they think that you could make, give you an opportunity to make it, and then make that order based upon that earning capacity. The spousal support order also will take into account a child support order if there are children involved. In determining a temporary support order, the court will require you not only to give your income, but all of your deductions, because the deductions used for that formula will increase the amount of money that you have available to pay temporary support. That temporary support order will last until you reach a final resolution of your matter, either through settlement or through trial. At trial, we have what's called a permanent support order. The permanent support order is governed by statute in California and asks the court to consider 10 specific criteria, and the 11th is anything else the court determines is just and reasonable. Some of the specific issues in permanent support are whether or not one party devoted domestic duties to the accomplishment of the career of another party, whether there has been domestic violence, what the marital standard of living is, what the tax consequences are, and The other issues, of course, anything else the court considers to be just and reasonable. That temporary support order will then go away. A permanent support order will be issued. In California, for purposes of permanent support, it is important to remember that a marriage that lasts more than 10 years is considered to be a circumstance in which the court cannot terminate the permanent order until there has been a significant change of circumstances. What does that mean? That means that if you've been married for more than 10 years, the court will make an order until further order of court. That could be much more than 10 years. Rule of thumb in California, if a marriage is less than 10 years, it's usually 1/2 the period of the marriage. But those are only guidelines. Each case is different. But if you've been married for more than 10 years, that will become a permanent support order, and that can be subject to modification, but not termination. So therefore, it's possible that you can be paying for at least 10 years or more. If there is a significant change of circumstances in either party's income or circumstances, then you have to come back to court and ask for the permanent order to be modified. So spousal support is an ongoing obligation. It is considered a primary obligation in California, and much to the chagrin of much payors, it's determined regardless of your expenses, because it's determined it comes off the top of your income, and courts consider you to have to live on what's left. So even though your expenses are more than you claim and you can't meet them, the court understands that two people normally living apart cannot live as well as they did when they were married, and each party may suffer a loss. Most importantly, in support proceedings, each party has a fiduciary duty to disclose all of their income. That means whether it's separate or community. That means whether it came from a gift or it came from your earnings. Hiding your income may result in sanctions against you, and you have to understand that everything that comes into your pocket or is available to you is available for the court to determine what your spousal support will be.